Welcome back to Filmonomics' Slated. I'm Steph Paterno. Now, in our last segment, we heard from 4 foreign sales agents about how they pre-sell their projects to raise money when working with first-time filmmakers. But there's another big challenge that they face. What happens when these projects have the perfect talent that isn't yet known globally? In other words, isn't bankable. Let's go hear from these 4 sales agents again.
I tried to sell Joseph Gordon-Levitt on a film 6 years ago, and none of the international buyers knew who he was. And I was like, trust me, you will know who, if you don't now, you will know who he is in 6 months. And they literally walked away, and we wound up casting someone else, don't even know who it was now, I mean, just a no-name. So it's, international is its own special breed in terms of timing.
And then we sold Don John, right? About 2 years later, and it killed it in sales, so yeah. You never know.
No.
Is that changing at all? I mean, we talk about, I mean, pre-sales have been one of the ways you get your film financed for decades now. But as stars start to deteriorate and no new stars coming up that are sort of perfect for every territory, when you have this issue of it's the perfect creative choice, but you're having a difficulty getting the international buyers to pay attention, how do you overcome that is one question. But mostly I'm asking, is that changing? Can you see them starting to not be looking at that same old list that they've been looking at for 10 years?
I think if you're trying to do a large number of pre-sales, either as a percentage or as a dollar figure, a large amount, that's a very short list and remains a very short list. I do think things like Game of Thrones, Downton Abbey, that is known worldwide, is making some other actors more well-known internationally, and they're more pre-sellable. But I still think that stratosphere of the big numbers and huge percentage of your estimates in pre-sales is still a pretty short list, and mostly men.
Yes.
Men.
Yes.
Damn it.
We had a movie that we tried to bring to market because we were, first-time filmmakers. They were really famous, like they did the Justin Bieber video. So they're video directors, really young, and they had Jack Houston attached. And so we, of course, signed on to the project because we were like, we love Jack Houston because he's one of those guys that I think in the future he's going to break out a la Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And it was so funny because we couldn't get any pre-sales, like 0. So we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Because we have to make this movie. And then we ended up getting Nicolas Cage, which is like tried and true in how buyers like assess the value. And then all of a sudden we sold the world, like one market, totally sold out every territory. Then Jack Houston gets Ben-Hur. And then everybody's like, oh, well, what about Jack Houston? And I was like, well, Jack Houston, you can't afford him now. So he jumps because he had to do that movie. So, it's like one of those things, which I think to your guys' credit really helps bringing in like equity, because sometimes you can have a gut instinct about something. And sometimes it does, freeze yourself from the traditional pre-sales model and financing like with debt, with a little bit of mezz equity. You can really sort of make more bold choices and more bold decisions on sort of supporting cast that could be that next like outlier talent, I think.
I completely agree.
I agree with what Mimi said, though. There's a very short list of meaningful actors at that top tier level, but the list is always changing. There's always up-and-comers, and we end up relying on those names a lot, like the Nicholas Holtz of the world, or the Josh Hutchersons of the world, or the Jamie Bells of the world. Those up-and-comers are people who we end up, when Arnold Schwarzenegger goes away, someone has to take his place. So there is a list of those as well, but unfortunately, those names are becoming so meaningful now, and there's like a handful of them. So when they're getting 30 offers a day, they've become unattainable too now.
Well, how do you educate those buyers? What do you show them to convince them? Is there data? Is there some sort of consumer level demand where you're able to say, I know this person will perform well, maybe you don't know it?
Aren't you guys doing that on Slated?
We upcoming.
Well, but I mean, I'm curious about how you guys are doing it. Minus Slated.
I've got this
What's your
great
process?
scoring system. It's fantastic. But if you
should
guys
check it
could
out.
start selling that, that'd be great.
Oh, awesome.
It's upcoming projects, really, right? If they have 3 films in post-production, something that's already shooting that's going to have a big studio release, you can pitch that as upside.
Right. Yeah.
That's the easiest way to do it. typically.
Or like,
And then you
yeah.
can pre-sell your $3 million or $2 million drama because you know you have 2,000 screens and 20 mil P&A about to be thrown behind this new star, essentially.
And it's different territory by territory. I think there's some, you can look by territory because there's some people who perform well in individual territories, and it's sometimes an odd combination. But I do think you can do the research to see how somebody's previous films, even the smaller stuff, has performed in a territory. But other than that, it's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors and trust us.
You have to remember, we're like selling to people that don't even really see the movies. They're just buying in an idea. You know, we all have best intentions walking in. We're like, oh, this is going to be an amazing movie. And then it just doesn't hit. And then all of our estimates are meaningless. Like you will see when we estimated Germany would be over $1 million. And then all of a sudden it sells for like 75 grand. And we're like, it was execution dependent. You know, it's hard to really exact what that value is because everything really is what did the movie turn out to be at the end of the day.
That, I think, is more the case in recent years. I mean, I've been doing this longer than a lot of people up here, where it used to be if a film isn't quite as good as you were anticipating, you still came in relatively close to your numbers. And now it is literally, as you're saying, that your estimate is $1 million and you see the film and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to sell it for 75K. I mean, that's literally it. Now in this marketplace right now, it falls off a cliff. I think as SVOD, as the digital medias rise in terms of monetization in the individual territories, that some of that will be there. There'll be a safety net, but at the moment, it's really, if a film doesn't deliver, it really is a debacle now.
Yep. It's also taking into account troubled territories a little bit too, right? Like Russia or...
Which changes like 12 months.
I was
It's
going
like
to say,
complete
which
swing.
aren't troubled right now?
I know, everything's crashed. I'm like, Germany just crashed. I'm like, I don't know.
But huge swings like Russia, what Tanaz was just saying. So it could have been $1.5 million for the Bruce Willis movie like 24 months ago, and now it's, what is it?
Painful.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
She
Actually,
does
he still
Bruce Willis.
sells Bruce Willis. Love him.
God bless him.
Well, if you ever wondered why sales agents' projections often don't match up with your own estimation of the project's value, you have your answer. So much of it boils down to timing. And often the market doesn't see the value in key attachments until the month later, where of course it's too late because that key attachment has been attached to some giant studio movie. So where does that leave you? Are you going to be required to constantly attach Bruce Willis to get your film made, or wait until the next Game of Thrones to find the next generation of talent? Well, we hope not. And that's our mission at Slated, which is to solve this very problem of not only estimating which people have market value that maybe the industry doesn't know about yet, but helping you package them and get them attached in a timely manner that actually makes a difference to you. So until then, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in another segment.